What's up, guys? TruckDriver101.com. Let's talk about sleep apnea. All right. So, if you're an overweight guy, you know that a lot of companies are starting to flag people, making them take sleep apnea tests. The bottom line is that they're going to get you if you're overweight. Okay? If you're in the 300-pound part, they're going to get you. If you're in the twos, like 250, probably not. Probably not going to get you. If you're overweight, 300s, I say go get a sleep apnea test before you even come to a trucking company. Don't even waste your time. Just go get it. That way it's already done. And you ain't got to deal with nobody's bullshit. But here's my thing. And this is a question I want to pose to you guys. Why in the fuck is sleep apnea worse than a heart attack or a stroke? You know, why is it any different than a guy who has no legs or arms? Like, there are people who are crippled who can drive, well, I should say crippled, disabled, who can drive a semi-truck. They can. They can drive a semi-truck and they're disabled. Why? Why is that? Doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like, you know, it's okay if you got a good lobby in Congress. Like, heart attack and stroke has a big lobby. Plus, many of our senators and Congress people, they've suffered from heart attack and stroke. So they're not regulating it the same. And I don't understand, how is a sleep apnea different when you're driving a car? Like, how is it not dangerous? Just seems kind of fucking stupid to me. So to me, it's just a scam. It's a scam. I don't care what anybody says, scam. Yes, there are people who have legitimate symptoms and all that stuff, but most of the people you look at online will say, I didn't have any symptoms before I started using the machine. And the truth is, what you have is a weak cardiovascular system. And what you need to do is lose weight and exercise. That's what I'm doing, because I'm not finna get hit with that. My DOT next is, physical comes up in about 10 months. And I'm not getting hit with that bullshit. I'm not paying for it. But in 10 months, I will be 100 pounds lighter. Okay? I'm not going to deal with that bullshit. Just not going to deal with it, because it's bullshit. It's somebody playing a fucking game with my life. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Right, but I'm not going to let these motherfuckers... Now they having a... For those who don't understand this, and just so I expand on this, and I talked about this before, they're finna do a crash weight study. AKA, fat people crash more than skinny people. In the trucking industry, that has 90% turnover rate. How in the fuck are you going to get any deep studies on this? How are you going to get a study in an industry that has a 90% turnover rate? That's why I think the whole sleep apnea thing to me is bullshit, because how exactly did you do the study? Where 90% of the guys who show up at a trucking company for orientation quit within a week. How exactly did you do it? Most of them never even take a sleep apnea test. Most of the people that get told they have to take a sleep apnea test walk out and don't even become a truck driver. So where do these numbers come from? It seems to come from magic. And nobody brings that up. Like, how do you do any study in trucking when you have 90% turnover rate? And that's in the recession. Once the recession is over, hell, it's going back up to 100%. So that means an entire class of 50 guys don't even become truck drivers. How exactly are you doing this? How are you doing these studies? How are you doing a study on 4 million people based on what, the 1.8 that become truck drivers, or whatever? 10%, I should say 10%, not 1.8, but the 10% that become truck drivers? And probably 1% of that lasts more than 4 years or 3 years. I mean, how do you do a comprehensive study when people aren't around? I don't understand that. It seems weird to me. So to me, that's why it's a scam. And then the other part, I've talked about it before, just lose weight. That machine is a scam. That's a fucking scam. There are tons of guys online who talk about it makes their symptoms worse. Fuck that. Lose weight. Get down to 250, 260. Lose the weight. Because also, remember, I guarantee you, most of the people that's getting targeted with this shit, they are not 250 pounds. They might be overweight, but 250 pounds is about an average pudgy fat person's weight, especially if you're a man. So if you got a doctor who's in his 210 pounds, 200 pounds, I guarantee he's not flagging people the same as he would if you were 300 pounds. But by the rules that they created for sleep apnea, should be the same. But it's not. Just a little heads up. But to me, just get to your weight. Lose the fucking weight and get to your weight. And the part that still kills me about it, if you a guy who lifts weights, you're a guy who's yoked up, you got big muscles, technically they need to check you for sleep apnea. You might jog 5-10 miles a day, doesn't matter. So when they do this fat crash study and all these other fake ass studies they're doing, that they're really getting from people who want to make money off of us, because sleep apnea is a anywhere from a $300 test to a $2,000 test. The machines cost what, $300 to $600, and if they do this fat study, of course they're going to try to get the trucking industry to pay, of course, for things like fat surgeries, diet plans, exercise machines. In other words, more money for people who sit in Congress handing out payments. So that's what it is to me. And I just want to pose that question. Put it down in the comments below. How is sleep apnea worse than a stroke, heart attack, or different from people with disabilities? Because nobody is checking the guy who had 4 heart attacks on the road. Nobody's checking his medicine. I met a guy who had 4 heart attacks, and another guy we were in orientation with had sleep apnea. He needed to go get his test. And by the way, for those out there who have it, you have to get a new test every 2 years. Yeah, I said it. And even if you took a test and it proves you don't have sleep apnea, depending on how long it's been, they can re-require you go take another test. How in the world? And that makes no sense to me. I mean, think about it. Statistically, you're more likely to have a heart attack or a stroke. In my company, we've had 2 heart attacks this year that resulted in flip overs. But we have not nobody fall asleep at the wheel yet who has had sleep apnea. It's bullshit. But the best way to beat this bullshit is to lose weight. But I want to know why come people with heart attacks are not monitored? How come the people with false limbs are not monitored to make sure they're using them? How come people with all the other diseases that we allow in trucking, forms of fucking diabetes and all that other stuff, how come they're not monitored the same way? How come there isn't a machine or a camera sitting in there making sure they're doing the shit they're supposed to do like they do with people with sleep apnea? Because it doesn't make sense to me. Because I remember sitting there thinking, I'm glad I didn't get flagged for it, because they weren't flagging people back then. But at the same time, I just couldn't understand how they feel that that's the biggest problem in trucking. Because when I go in a truck stop, heart attack, diabetes, and stroke are the 3 major killers and accident causes as far as health and trucking. You want to deal with a problem? Deal with that shit. But heart attack, stroke, and diabetes have massive fucking lobbies. And so we're not going to. We're going to deal with sleep apnea, which probably doesn't have a lobby. At least not yet. So my thing is, guys, I got 10 months. Lose the fucking weight. Do the same. All right, guys? Truckdriver101.com. I just wanted to rant about that. If you're new to trucking, click down below. There's a book down there, and it'll help you get into trucking and learn about different things to do and how to find a good company. It's a good book. All right, guys. Truckdriver101.com.